acknowledge the emerging hazards that require our attention. The National Disaster Management Center will elaborate on these risks, shedding light on how they have evolved and what we must do to mitigate their effects. Given the continued negative impact of these hazards on the lives of South Africans, we understand that it cannot be business as usual. We understand that we must act decisively to safeguard the well-being of all citizens and protect our vulnerable communities. When we come to current state of affairs, our response and relief efforts. Just last week, we witnessed the devastating floods in Eastern Cape and in KwaZulu-Natal. These floods have resulted not only in tragic loss of life, but also in severe displacement, leaving many families without homes and essential support systems. We wish to take this opportunity to convey our deepest condolences to all the families affected by these calamities, as well as those families who lost their loved ones. Their grief serves as a painful reminder of the human cost of such disasters and highlights the urgency of our preparedness efforts. Implementation of relief measures is underway in all the affected areas, particularly the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality as one of the most affected areas last week. These relief measures are a collaborative effort by the organs of the state, private sector, NGOs, and individuals, with the focus on housing the displaced households in temporal evacuation facilities, providing hot meals, food parcels, blankets, mattresses, as well as giving the psychosocial support to the affected individuals. Damage assessments are underway to establish the extent of the damages and the required interventions. As COGTA has been working tirelessly with disaster management structures, including the Provincial Disaster Management Center, to coordinate the response efforts to the recent heavy rains. We are also working closely with municipalities, the provincial government, especially in Eastern Cape, and other stakeholders to ensure that the affected communities receive necessary support, including food, shelter, and other essential services. The department will continue to monitor the situation and provide support to the affected communities. We would like to extend our sincere appreciation to all non-governmental organizations, the private sector, and individuals who continue to demonstrate the spirit of Ubuntu by providing support to the affected communities. Your efforts and generous contribution do not go unnoticed. When it comes to disaster management funds, we acknowledge the challenges faced by the country in funding disaster interventions, mainly due to increased disaster damages, fiscal deficit, and competing priorities. The Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs is currently engaged with the National Treasury on other funding mechanisms to ensure sustainability. This requires also the involvement of the private sector and all relevant stakeholders to come on board in order to meet the challenges emanating from the effects of disaster. With the increasing number of disasters across the country in 2023-2024, the department submitted a funding request to the National Treasury to support the affected groups of people and the organs of state with the reconstruction and rehabilitation of the damaged infrastructure. We want to assure all affected people in South Africa in general that we remain committed to partnering with local and national entities to strengthen disaster preparedness and response and rebuild our communities. I must share with the people of South Africa that once the Minister of Finance on Thursday tabled the medium-term budget review, I know as part of the executive there will be a substantial allocation in terms of grants to deal with the past disasters, including the levels at a municipality and provincial level. But I would want to respect the Minister of Finance to make such announcements on Thursday, and thereafter we will give details in as far as the funding that will be available as to how it is going to be allocated and ensured that it is spent within the time limits to attend the damage that was caused by disaster in the previous financial year, including the latest disaster throughout the country. The department is also leading the review of the country's disaster management system to address the challenges encountered, particularly in terms of capacity and resource constraints across all the spheres of government, in order to ensure that we increase agility in the function, particularly in addressing the delays in undertaking assessments and implementing interventions by the organs of the state. Currently, the Municipal Infrastructure Support Agent, MISA, plays a pivotal role in supporting communities with capacity constraints when funds are available but could not be spent within a financial year. MISA is coming in to support municipalities that the available funds in relation to infrastructure are used within the financial year for the benefit of our communities. When it comes to summer season preparedness, as we prepare for the summer season, it is important that we collectively take the necessary measures to enhance our disaster readiness. We hope that today's discussions will illuminate our comprehensive strategies and ensure that we are equipped to respond swiftly and effectively to any emergencies that may arise from now throughout the summer season. Through our collaboration with key role players, we are committed to building resilience with our communities and fortifying our infrastructure against the impact of climate change and the extreme weather events. Together, we can work towards a safer, more prepared South Africa. In response, we have prepared the disaster management contingency plans by facilitating the National Disaster Management Center as guided by the South African Weather Services Summer Seasonal Outlook. The key highlights of our plans include the following: the enhanced early warning systems. At the core of our preparedness is enhancing the early warning systems. We have strengthened our collaboration with South African Weather Services to ensure accurate, timely weather warnings reach every corner of our country, especially the vulnerable communities, by providing early information about potential hazards likely to happen, for instance, thunderstorm, flash floods, lightning, heat waves. We will empower our citizens to take necessary precautions and protect their lives and properties. Early warnings and early actions are the most effective means of saving lives. Secondly, seasonal climate forecast. The South African Weather Services forecast predicts wetter conditions in some areas and above normal temperatures nationwide. To bring everyone on board, the South African Weather Services will give a detailed presentation on this forecast once I have concluded my remarks. Thirdly, the multi-sectoral approach. Disaster management involves collective efforts from the government, the private sector, and the NGOs, ensuring an all-inclusive response. Search and rescue contingency planning is critical for efficiently responding to situations where individuals are lost or are in immediate danger. We are working with and collaborating with local emergency services, the National Sea Rescue Institute, South African Search and Rescue, and community volunteers. This is crucial to streamline operations and rescue response times. In partnership with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, we have initiated redistributing unused firefighting vehicles to bolster municipal firefighting capabilities, ensuring local services are better equipped for the challenges of the summer season. The proactive contingency planning. The department coordinated the preparation of multi-hazard contingency plans by all provinces through the responsive provincial disaster management centers to ensure a state of readiness within the province throughout the 9 provinces. The administrative and political structures in all provinces have been activated to be operational and ready for any disaster from now throughout the summer season. I am facilitating the Intergovernmental Committee on Disaster Management, and we had our last meeting yesterday evening. This committee is consisting of political leadership across the spheres to deliberate and provide strategic support on disaster management related issues within our respective legislative mandate. The Intergovernmental Committee on Disaster Management includes ministers, deputy ministers, MECs from 9 provinces, as well as SALCA, where we plan together how we will mitigate the challenges of disaster as we approach the summer season. Joint operation centers are activated across provinces to coordinate rapid responses to emergencies. Municipal fire services have also been engaged closely with provincial, municipal, and district disaster management centers to enhance their readiness through early warning systems, improved inter-agency communication, and pre-positioning firefighting resources in high-risk areas. In terms of field fires, we understand that field fires remain a significant threat, particularly in rural and agricultural areas. Fire services have implemented proactive measures, including enhanced maintenance of fire breaks and coordination with local fire protection services to mitigate field fire risk. Contingencies for special risks such as hazardous materials incidents involve trained hazardous material teams equipped to handle chemical spills, toxic releases, and other hazardous events. Search and rescue units are prepared for deployment to locate and assist victims during major incidents. Another critical area which we are going to embark on is public awareness campaigns. We are educating citizens on how to protect themselves and their communities from natural hazards, and call on you as members of the media to work with us in this regard. Disaster should not be the problem of the government. It must be a responsibility of every citizen, every stakeholder. Everybody should participate in how we mitigate the challenges of disaster so that collectively we can work together to save lives. Recognizing the high vulnerabilities associated with informal settlement, fire services are actively conducting community awareness campaigns, distributing fire safety materials, and maintaining community-based rapid response teams for immediate intervention, especially in informal settlements. We urgently call on all citizens to remain vigilant and responsive to the guidance, warnings, and safety tips of South African weather services, disaster management officials, and relevant authorities. These warnings and the safety tips we share are not just routine. They are critical and could mean the difference between life and death in moments of crisis. The safety of our communities is our high priority, and we plead with everyone to take these calls seriously. By staying informed and prepared, you protect yourself and contribute to the resilience of your neighbors and your loved ones. Another issue of great importance as we approach the summer season is the issue of initiation. An equally important task is preparing for the summer customary initiation season, which begins in December. To uphold the integrity of this significant tradition, we emphasize that the safety and well-being of all initiates must be prioritized as prescribed by the Customary Initiation Act of 2021. This legislation established the National Initiation Oversight Committee and the Provincial Initiation Coordinating Committees, which work collaboratively with traditional leaders, parents, and communities to monitor initiation practices and ensure that they comply with the legal and health standards. The Act is a vital tool for eliminating abuse and dangerous practices, aiming to safeguard young initiates through clearly defined norms and safety protocols. With the forecast of the extreme summer heat, we urge that all initiates undergo the pre-season health checks, stay hydrated, and have access to medical care as necessary. To further protect our youth, the initiation schools must secure parental consent and must comply with health guidelines and register at least 3 months before each initiation season. We call on all South Africans to work with us and play their part by reporting illegal initiation schools to law enforcement to prevent the exploitation and the endangerment of young initiates. We saw in June, we lost a number of young boys who died in the process of the initiation. This should come to an end. A good culture should not result to the loss of life. This summer season, we call upon all stakeholders to act responsibly and ensure that our youth experience this tradition with dignity, safety, and respect for cultural heritage. In conclusion, while the risks posed by the upcoming summer season are significant, we face them with a solid plan, a unified response, and a deep commitment. The path to resilience is paved with collaboration, preparedness, and dedication. Together, we will overcome the challenges ahead and emerge more robust as a nation to face and mitigate the climate change that has come to stay with us. I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to take the nation on board in terms of our readiness and calling upon every South African to participate, that we work together to eliminate the negative effects of climate change. Thank you very much, Program Director, as well as the people from the media. Thank you so much.
Then we can deal with the Q&As afterwards. We are going to start with Source. Ntate Sebego.